Hi, this is Robert Clickybeard with the Commercial Landscaper Podcast. I'm going to take about 30 minutes of your life to deliver some amazing content from accomplished leaders, business owners, to provide you some great Ironman mindsets to help you scale your business, to become a better leader and push yourself out of a comfort zone into something that's going to stretch you. We hope you really enjoy these shows and encourage you to like and share with your friends, your network, family members. Try and get a wider audience and improve our industry. On each show, I'm going to try and pull out one type of Ironman mindset, insight that you could take back to your business. And if you're implementing one insight every single week or all the shows, then it's going to make a dramatic improvement to your business. Super excited as well to share that we're partnering up with Boss Business Management Software, which is the ultimate cloud-based solution providing comprehensive insights and tools to optimize performance. Join the Boss community today and transform your business so you too can say, my boss is working for me. Hi, this is Robert Clickybeard with the Commercial Landscaper Podcast. I'm really excited today to be joined by Jhana Li. How did I pronounce that?
Jhana. Yep, you
Jhana
got
Li.
it.
Yeah, I love the name. I love the name.
It's a weird one.
So really excited that you joined me today. We talked a couple of weeks ago. You were well
Yeah.
recommended by so many great people, including a good friend, person I respect, Karen Harold. And so I thought it would be great to get you on the show today.
Yeah. Thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here.
So tell us a little bit about your background. You've got a great reputation there, but we have listeners all around the world actually, and they'd love to just hear a little bit more about you.
Yeah. So my background, Robert, is in operations. I was actually the former COO for a couple of different, multi-seven-figure startups and businesses. I would have been an operations coach for many, many years, coaching, gosh, at this point, probably hundreds of different startups and businesses. And I am now the founder of my own company. I call it Spyglass Ops. And this is what we do. We essentially help companies scale by getting the right second in command into the role and making sure that they are set up for success to create operational transformation and scale within the business.
Awesome. I love that. I love that. And
Yeah.
how did you move into that? Because, first of all, operations, a lot of people just run as soon as they hear that because
They do.
they're dealing with so many different challenges. There's so many different fires out there.
Yeah.
So how did you jump into that? Tell us a little bit of background.
Yeah, I kind of fell into it, which I think most operators can relate to, because the reality is like there's not, no one grows up dreaming of being an ops manager, right? Like it's not a super well understood role, and it's not super sexy if we're being honest with ourselves. And so I really fell into it because when I got into my first business, I just looked around and I saw how many things could be improved. I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't even know that there was a word for what I was doing at the time. To me, it was just so clear as I looked around the business, man, like maybe that could be more efficient, or I don't understand why we do things that way, and maybe that could be better, and I see why the team is being affected in these ways. And I just started cleaning things up, and it was very intuitive, it was very organic, but I eventually learned that there's a word for that, and that's operations. And I got lucky with a couple of key mentors. I threw myself into studying everything that I could about business and operations and leadership, and kind of the rest is history from there.
Awesome. Yeah, I mean, you're right. I mean, operations is not exactly sexy. People think about, oh, I want to be like a salesperson or in business
Yeah, of course.
development. I want
Of
to be
course.
playing golf. I want to be all these happy hours, etc. But operations is, I mean, it's a tough job. That's what I did back in my business, and it's,
Yeah.
you know, pounced on from all different angles. So,
Yeah.
and then there was also, I remember reading your bio and you talked about, travels, and that was something
Mm,
that, again, sparked your interest and
yeah.
how you can maybe do things differently. So,
Yeah. So
oh,
that very first COO role, I was actually living full time in a van, a converted Sprinter van, and we were traveling through North and South America. And I was learning how to grow and lead this business. And so travel has always been, kind of part of my life and part of my story. And I think what is so beautiful about operations is that it really is a lever for business owners to experience freedom. I think all of us start our companies because we have some sort of dream of, time flexibility, time to spend with our family, time to take those dream trips we always wanted, buy the things we always wanted. And what is so heartbreaking to me, Robert, and kind of why I do what I do is because there are so many incredibly talented entrepreneurs out there that are really good at creating financial success for themselves, but haven't figured out how to create that personal freedom, which is really the core reason behind why they started the business in the first place. And so to see operations as, the major unlock for the very first CEOs that I worked with, seeing them be able to, travel in vans and to spend time with their family and start families and to fire themselves ultimately from the businesses that they started through the work that I was doing and how I was serving them, it helped me realize that there's a real skill set there and something that I can help other CEOs with as well.
Yeah, no, that's great. I love that story.
Yeah.
You're so true. I mean, I love travel myself, and when
Yeah,
you're forced into that situation where you're traveling for extended periods of time, it almost forces you to get organized and put
absolutely.
a lot of practices in
Absolutely.
place and do things virtually. So yeah, I love that.
Yep.
Interesting you're talking about, people just being in operations, they're maybe working in the business rather than on the business.
Yep.
I've actually had two conversations this week with, two, decent sized landscape companies, and, they were one was in their 50s, one was in their 60s,
Hmm.
still dealing with challenges,
Right.
both companies making very little profit, and they're just not really seeing any end in sight. They don't
Right.
necessarily have a team in place, no processes, procedures, anything like that in
Yeah.
place. And,
Yeah.
they were definitely embarrassed, seeing, that they hadn't really built a well-positioned company,
Sure.
but they were now realizing that it was just, affecting their health. They weren't able to travel, do vacation. So
Yeah.
you must see stuff like that all the time.
All the time. And again, it's through no fault of their own, because in the world, in the marketplace of business, everyone's focused on sales, on marketing, on product and client success and delivery. Very few people talk about operations. And so the average founder out there literally just doesn't know that they're missing this whole key piece of this business, and that this one key piece is not only going to help them streamline the day to day, scale up faster, scale up smoother, but also ultimately create a business they can one day exit or sell, create a business that they can take vacations from, create a business that offers them, all these kind of lifestyle benefits that are the real reason they started the business to begin with. And so they can create massive wealth, but that's the only thing they can create until they start to branch out and learn, okay, I've gotten this success by what I can do and how hard I can work and how many days in a row I can just show up and outwork the problem. But to really get to that next level and to go from being a, employee in your own business to a true CEO founder, that's a whole new skill and a whole new level up that honestly most founders just never get to and don't even understand that it's something they're missing.
Yep, that's so true. So true. Do you think it's if they see they're not making money, or profits really tight, that the thought of bringing on some other high paid person to take over that, that second
Totally.
in command, that operations, is that where the sticking block, the roadblock is?
Often, and that's also pretty heartbreaking to me, because the reality is that it's a real vicious cycle. The job of your operator, of your second in command, is to create profitability within the business. And so we work with a lot of clients where they're like, I don't have enough profit to bring this person in, but without this person I can't create more profit, right? And you get stuck in that cycle. And really it comes down to just like, at what point are you willing to break the cycle? At what point are you willing to get yourself out of it? Because otherwise it's only going to get worse and worse. The margins are only going to get tighter and tighter, and you're only going to be working more and more every single day to try and make it happen. And the reality is like CEO founders are brilliant at driving top line revenue. The job of an operator is to keep bottom line expenses low. And the difference between those two things is profit. But if you have only revenue all the time and your expenses are growing just as fast, then you might be doing great on paper. You might have this awesome top line revenue business, but your profit margins are just shrinking and shrinking and shrinking because you have no one keeping an eye on expenses.
Right. Yep. So true. So what's the breaking point? I mean, when
Mm.
is that pain point so tough that they make that jump into, making some changes, either doing it themselves or whether it be hiring a coach, like,
Yeah.
like you
Yeah.
or I? What's
I so wish that it didn't have to happen at the breaking point, because I think everybody's breaking point is different. It comes down to pretty much their pain tolerance. And, is your breaking point 50-hour work weeks, 80-hour work weeks? Is it doing that for 3 months in a row or 3 years in a row, right? It really depends on the tenacity of the person. And it's something that I so respect about entrepreneurs, is how freaking resilient they are. But it is also their own worst enemy, because they can live with so much pain and continue to show up and do it again and again, versus, like, I have a pretty low pain tolerance, Robert. And I think in some ways it's my advantage, because as soon as I'm sensing friction or pain in my business, I'm immediately interpreting that as data that something's wrong. And now I can go in and I can fix it. And ultimately that allows me to, I think, grow and get there faster. And so I so wish that it didn't come down to, like, I have to hit rock bottom before I'm willing to invest in what it is ultimately just like best business practices and operational efficiencies, so I can scale well. And our favorite clients are the people who come to us 6 to 12 months before that point and say, hey, I see the writing on the wall. I'm starting to work more and more in the day-to-day weeds. I can't seem to get out of it. I can't seem to be working on my business. I'm sensing that I'm becoming the bottleneck in my business, and I don't want to end up there. Can you help me? And that's perfect timing, because the reality is that it takes about 6 months to remove a person from their own day-to-day inner workings. And so we're able to get them to that point where things are running without them before they ever have to enter and descend into the bottom of the well.
Right. Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah.
How often do you come across scenarios where, there's maybe been some health challenge, maybe there's been
Mm,
some type of divorce relationship challenge
yeah.
where
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
that has
Yeah.
been that breaking point that they finally, put up the white flag and,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
ask for help.
Honestly, more often than I would like. I spoke to somebody at the beginning of this year who said, I am showing up and putting in 80-hour weeks, and my health is literally failing me. Like, I am coming to you because I actually don't have the energy to continue to show up and work this hard on my business. And my business is only asking more and more from me. And so either I'm going to break, or the business is going to break, and I need to get out of this situation. We've had clients where they were working with a spouse, and we've actually helped them navigate their spouse out of the company. And now they come back and they're like, our marriage is 100 times better. Right. And
Mhm.
so really there's no stone we leave unturned when it comes to helping a business owner create not just financial success and hit the growth goals that they've set for the business, but also achieve whatever personal definition of success they've set for themselves, their lifestyles, and their families.
I want to touch on a couple of different perspectives. One is
Yeah.
you're the sole owner, you don't have anybody second in
Yeah.
command. What does that next step look like? How do they look internally or externally? And then the second part to this is they've found somebody, they've thrown them into the fire, and that
Yeah.
person is floundering, that failing miserably. So
Yeah.
let's take the first point. They're listening to this, they're thinking, yep, I need to make a change.
Yeah.
How do I even make that first step?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think that the best source of data around, who do I need to hire, when do I need to hire, is going to be you, the founder, and specifically how you are spending your time. So I recommend that, and this is something that everybody can do just listening to this episode, is that you do a mini time audit, which means this can be really simple. For 3 days, have a spreadsheet or a notebook pulled up, and every 15 minutes, literally just write down, what are you doing? What are you doing? And just build a list for 3 days. Don't look at it, don't analyze it, don't judge it. Just build the list for 3 days. These are all the things that I do over the course of my day. And then at the end of 3 days, I recommend you sit down, you look at that list, and you ask yourself the question, what, ranking from, like, I just do 1 through 5, what are the highest value activities on this list, all the way down to the lowest value activities on this list? Take every task and ask yourself the question, is this driving, like, this is a 1, like, it needs to happen, it's important, but it's not driving a lot of value. And then a 5, right? Like, this is the most important, valuable thing I could possibly do. And then look at that list, sort it 1 through 5, and then look at your ones and your twos. Those are the things that you need to hire out, right? Those are the things that are taking up the most amount of your time and driving the least amount of value back to the company, which also means they're going to be the cheapest roles to go out and hire for, because they're not
Right.
high value. And so when I like the process of hiring and building a team is literally just the process of auditing your own time again and again, identifying what's the next lowest value thing to get off your plate, and then going out and finding that person. The power of having a second in command, specifically Robert, as one of those first hires, is that you're bringing in the person who can do that work with you and for you. Like, yes, they can take those ones and twos off your list, but then they're going to be the person auditing you every 90 days moving forward and saying, hey, you're spending too much time here. Hey, we have the budget to bring in this person over here and get that off your plate. And they're actually going to be your freedom maker when it comes to systematically scaling out the team, scaling out the systems that ultimately grant you that freedom you're looking for.
Right. No, I love that. Yeah, I recommend that whole time tracking.
Yeah,
It's a powerful tool. And one of the questions I had about that is, if the founder is maybe more more passionate about operations.
Yep.
How do you establish where their true value is? Is it more, they realizing that they're perhaps not passionate about sales, and perhaps they're hiring that salesperson?
Yep. Yep.
How do you establish that? Yes, you could do the 1 through 5, but how do you then determine where they spend their time?
Yeah. So when I'm thinking about what grade I give that task, whether a 1 or a 5, I'm thinking about the value it drives to the business. Sales by definition is super high value, so it's going to have a higher score. But I'm also thinking about, what am I naturally and intrinsically good at? Right? What is energy ROI positive for me to do? Like, what do I love doing? What lights me up? Because those are the things that I'm going to do better. I'm going to do them faster, and I'm going to get a higher ROI back on my time and energy spent there. So those also get a higher score. And vice versa is also true. For most CEOs I know, operations is like the bane of their existence. So it's going to drop on the list faster. It's going to become a 1 or a 2 faster, because not only, like, yes, it's valuable, but they're terrible at it. And so it's going to drop on that list. For me, it was the opposite, right? I'm an operationally talented CEO, but I'm bad at sales. And so when I ran this exercise on myself, sales came down on the list way faster than it would for another CEO who's fantastic at sales, and it will stay high on their list for that reason. And so I would look at both, like, what is valuable to the business, but also what am I uniquely good at bringing value to this business? And you're scoring yourself on both of those. And that's going to reveal the order that you should hire in, because the order you hire in is not, there's not a right order to hire your team in, right? It actually comes down to you as a founder, what you're great at and what you should get off of your plate fastest.
Yeah, cool. I love that. I love that. Great answer. So you've taken the plunge, you've either hired somebody either internally or you've brought somebody in. You basically taken that list, you've then dumped that list onto this new person.
Yes.
No coaching, no trading. Hey, figure it out, and 3, 4, 5 months later, they're struggling, they're questioning whether they made the right hire.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure you never see
it all
that.
the time. No, I see it all the time, because again, operations is not a super well understood role. And so it's a hard role to manage. If you don't know what a good job in this role looks like, well, then how the heck do you know whether your operator's doing a good job, right? And so it starts with the CEO founder having a super clear understanding of what is operations, who do I need to hire, and what does success look like once I've hired the right person. I've had clients come to us and say, hey, we've had a COO in this role for 6 months. We're paying them, multi 6 figures in salary. And I don't know anything other than I'm disappointed. I don't know what they're doing wrong. I don't know if it's me and my expectations are too high. I literally don't know what the problem is. I just know that it's not working. And that is so expensive, right? Like, it's not just frustrating, but you've now cost yourself a super expensive salary for months on end for this person to not drive value to your business. That is 7 figures at least in opportunity cost. And so it's not just, dangerous to not know who your operator is or to how, like what they should be doing in the role, it's actually really deeply costly to your business. And so what we do to solve for this, Robert, is that when we work with our clients, we actually start by doing a company-wide audit where we're mapping out the next 12 months of operational deliverables that need to happen in the business, so that if they already have that operator or if we're recruiting that operator for them, that person is stepping into the role with super clear deliverables. Here's what 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, 6 months, and 12 months need to look like in this role. And that makes it super transparent and super easy for the operator to show up and do those things, and super easy for the CEO to know that those things are getting done and to know whether they made the right hire or not. And so you need to have that clarity really for any role when someone new is stepping into the business, because again, if you don't know what success looks like, how could they possibly deliver on that?
Yeah, no, 100% agree with that. So, listen to, sounds like, 6 to 12 months is that time period for that successfully bringing somebody in the role. It's not, 2 weeks, it's not a month, not a couple of months, but
Depends on how you do it. I think the average, CEO that I know who's trying to do it themselves, they're going to fall into one of two buckets. Either they're going to do it in 2 days because they dropped a post on Facebook, and they hired the first person that commented, and boom, boom, I've got my operator good to go. We all can probably guess how those hires ultimately end up and what the cost of those hires are. Or they will, sit on this hire for 6 to 12 months because they really don't know what they're looking for. And so they never know who to bring in or when. We do recruitment for our clients, and our number currently for the year is 60 days. So 60 days from launching the hiring funnel to your new operator starting and stepping into the role. That is about twice as fast as the average recruiter. So I want to set expectations that if you're working with a recruiter, you can expect that to take anywhere from 3 to 6 months. But because we only hire operators and we have a robust network and pipeline of operators, we can generally do it in about 2.
okay, awesome.
Yeah.
I think it's interesting when you talk to founders, CEOs, and you start talking to them about things like milestones or KPIs, they just seem to draw a blank. So,
Yeah.
I mean, it sounds like part of your program, you're instilling those types of milestones and real measurables
Yeah.
along that 6 to 12 month journey, correct? So
Yeah.
there's checks and balances there.
Absolutely. Because again, what a CEO knows is I'm becoming the bottleneck in my business. I want to have more time freedom. I want to be able to scale and one day exit this thing. They know that to be true, and they know that they're not there right now, but they have no idea what the set of steps is going to be to bridge that gap from one to the other. And so that's the very first deliverable that we bring to our clients, is that roadmap, so that they've got absolute clarity. They've got confidence in their ability to go from point A to point B. And there's massive peace of mind that comes just from that. And then they also know, okay, this is the operator I need. Once they're in the role, here's what they should be doing. And here's what I should be doing in order to drive my company towards that point B as well.
Oh, awesome. Tell me a little bit about SpyOps, your company.
Yeah.
Be a success story you'd love to share.
Yeah, it's so funny, Robert, because literally before this call, I was hopping off with one of our most recent clients. He's been working with us for just under 90 days. And like, quote, I kid you not, he's told me Spyglass is the best money I have ever invested, ever, in my business, but also into myself as a human being. And I literally almost started crying. But what he was talking about is that not only, within 90 days, he's 2x his revenue, he's cut his client churn in half. He's completely transformed his team. His team is unrecognizable from the team that he was working with 90 days ago. We just brought his operator in. She starts on Monday, but he is different, right? We had to reflect back to him some hard truths about how he was standing in the way of his own business's growth, about how his behavior, his communication style, his leadership style was accidentally holding back his team. That's hard information to hear, but credit to him. He took it, he ran with it. And he's telling me that his marriage is improved as a result. His team is utterly transformed. He's been able to step himself out of the day-to-day weeds, because the secret truth is that he was keeping himself stuck in the weeds. All of that transformation within 90 days, simply because of the information we were able to give him in the very first week after that audit about here's exactly why your business isn't where you want it to be. Here's how you're accidentally holding it back. Here's the operator that you need to unlock that. And here's the team potential that you need to unlock to really start moving forward as fast as possible. He told me that, before it felt like he was trying to grow his business, but with the emergency brake on. And now the emergency brake is off and he can really get going.
So that's a great story. I love
Yeah.
that. Yeah, I've got similar examples myself, and it's amazing, and
Yeah,
just
it's
to
powerful.
feel the power of some of the differences you can make, not only in business but also, you're right, in personally as well.
Absolutely.
I know we have a webinar coming up next month with you, so we can
We
do a deeper
do.
dive, and so we're really excited about that. Final question: I came out a couple of years ago with a book called The Iron Man Mindset for Entrepreneurs, and I've just started doing these Iron Man mindset, insights. What would
Mm,
be something that you could share where either you've seen in yourself in transforming your business, or maybe something that you've seen a mindset shift in one of your
mm,
clients?
mm. Oh my gosh, so many. I think at the highest level, the biggest shift for me was when I started interpreting what was happening in my business as data, meaning everything that's going well in my company is data that tells me I'm doing something well, right? Everything that is not going well in my company is also data. It's not good, it's not bad, it's neutral. It's just data. And if my team is underperforming or my clients are unhappy, if I can figure out how to interpret that data and bring it back to me, if I can take ownership for that and say, how am I somehow, some way in my leadership or in my strategy contributing to this problem? Then your business essentially just becomes the world's harshest mirror being held up to you every single day saying, here's where you can grow and do differently, do better. And that mindset has been transformational because not only does it make the annoying, hard things of my business easier, right? Again, it's not bad, it's just data. I'm also able to grow so much faster because I have this mirror held up to me every single day telling me exactly how and where I need to grow. And so it's quite hard, it's quite relentless, the amount of personal growth that requires, but it's also the most powerful mechanism I've ever found. And I always joke that, like, I think being an entrepreneur is literally just getting paid money to become a better person. And how willing you are to commit to that growth is how quickly you will grow, but also how quickly your company will grow.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, you're right. I mean, we have so much data now available with, obviously the internet and all the different apps out there. And now the use of AI, we can analyze
Yeah.
that data really quickly.
Yep.
But
Absolutely.
it's being able to take that time and reflect on that data and then
Yep.
put it into an action. So yeah,
Yep.
that's great, great feedback. So thank you for your time today. It's been a wonderful session, full of energy. Love your messaging. Look forward to our webinar coming up here.
Yeah. Thanks for this,
So
Robert. This was really, really
yeah,
fun.
this is awesome. So thank you again for your time today. Really appreciate
Amazing.
it.
Talk soon.
Okay, take care. Hopefully that was pure dead brilliant for you today, and you got some great Ironman mindset takeaways for your business or your leadership role. This is Robert Clickybeard. Love to get you, your friends, your employees to join us in our future journey. So please subscribe to your various podcast channels. Visit our website, commerciallandscaper.com or wilson-360.com. You could check out our digital courses. You could check out peer groups, coaching, my book, Ironman Mindset for Entrepreneurs, and we just want you to have a pure, dead, brilliant day. And finally, thanks again to Boss Business Management Software, which is the ultimate cloud-based solution providing comprehensive insights and tools to optimize performance. Join the Boss community today and transform your business so you too can say, my boss is working for me. Cheers, everyone.